Let's now turn attention to Algeria and to the country's election. Hours after he was declared winner of Algeria's presidential election with 94.7% of the vote, President Abdelmadjid Tebboune has joined his two challengers in criticizing the results. This result outpaces his two opponents, Islamist Sharif, who received only 3.2%, and Socialist Youssef Al-Chiche, who got just 2.2%. On Sunday, the three campaigns jointly issued a statement accusing the country's election chairman of announcing contradictory figures. When the polls closed on Saturday, the election authority had said there was a 48% voter turnout. However, it later revised this down to just 5.6 million of the country's roughly 24 million voters, equivalent to less than 1 in 4. It remains unclear what will happen next, whether this will prompt legal challenges or delay the final certification of the result. The claims of irregularities cap off an election period that outraged activists and civil society groups. I have joining me on the news publisher Inside Watch Africa, Oluwaseyi Adeyemo. Good to have you join us on the program. 94% election victory for incumbent President Abdelmadjid Tebboune. But this has been contested. What to think about the conduct of the poll?
Truth of the matter is, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your program. I think it's unfortunate because one had thought that because he came in almost riding on an election such as this, because of course there was apathy and there was a lot of boycott in his initial election that brought him to office in his first term, one had imagined that his conduct and the way he would have conducted himself as president would have sort of encouraged more people come out to vote, in this particular election. But unfortunately, what we have right now is almost as similar what happened 5 years ago when he was elected into office for his first term. And so, as an African, I'm not happy with what has happened in the election in Algeria.
Well, the apathy was quite, pronounced, with young people refusing to go. But then the Election Commission before now had disqualified 13 candidates, and some of them had initially been very vocal about their dissatisfaction with the process and especially the criteria involved, in vying for office. What do you say about that?
Yeah, I mean, again, that is a show of the fact that something is really not adding up as the way the country is being run, because you have 16 people showing up to want to contest for election. 13 people were disqualified. And I think that does not speak too well about administration, because again, whether we like it or not, the electoral body is working with the government, the incumbent government. And so one would have imagined that he would have done things in a way that would not have necessitated a situation where 13 different people, including women, were sort of disqualified for this election. And so for me, my personal opinion is a show of the way he has run the government so far. I mean, this is someone who was prime minister. He's got the army, he's got the political people behind him. Yes, he's tried to do one or two things, increase of salary, economic growth of some sort. It is clear that he's not on his business well as president of the nation, which has, sort of made people complain about the fact that he was sort of towing people into the, into their corners. And that's what you have, having 13 people, different people being disqualified to run as president of the nation.
And then when you have President Tebboune joining challengers to criticize the results of this election, what do you make of that? An irony, or what exactly is playing out?
I think it's comical, because at the end of the day, I mean, he can't say that he doesn't know what has transpired. And again, that is Africa turning out in, itself. I mean, before this, in your report, you still talk about the war in Sudan. You just talked about, and I need to commensurate with the people, what happened in Kenya. You see, what I need to say, taking advantage of this, is that our leaders should understand that this is serious business. It's talking about people's life, their safety, the well-being, the way our lives is being run. So whenever they have the opportunity to to sort of occupy the highest office in the nation, I expect them to be very serious with the business so that sympathetic things and things that will continue to cause life, destruction of life, and not affecting the well-being of the people is something that they need to take seriously. So for him to come out and condemn what has happened, for me, as my personal opinion, is very comical.
Now the election has held. What do you foresee will happen next? Could this prompt some legal challenges, or what do you see play out?
Unfortunately, yes, there might be some legal challenges, but as it has happened over and over again across Africa, the incumbent will always win. And you see, nobody really, and I need to also emphasize, none of us are not going to be president of the nation. And so nobody really wants them to leave. I mean, I'll tell you a very, very quick story. I did a story some time ago, and I was talking about President Paul Kagame of Rwanda. And, the people, the Rwandese around there challenged me and said, want him as a life president. I was talking about the fact that he was taking too much time in government. So what I'm trying to say is that Africans are really not interested in governance because some of us will not become the president. But what we want is good governance. We expect they do well. So yes, they might go to court, they might challenge this. But unfortunately, the way they've done things over time, I don't expect too much to change or anything that will be very, very positive to come out of whatever court challenges that might occur.
All right, then. Publisher Inside Watch Africa, Oluwaseyi Adeyemo, thank you for talking to us on World Now.
Thank you so much for having me.